Okay, let's go to Michelle via email. My 14-year-old daughter had a hysterectomy last year because of cancerous conditions. She has no eggs. What could she do when the time is right, and what is the average cost? We will be facing this issue one day. Dr. Babone, is that going to be possible for this 14-year-old girl who's had a hysterectomy to be able to do something like this one day?
Well, sounds like they did a complete hysterectomy with removal of the ovaries. So she would have to consider either adoption or an egg donor program. If she marries a gentleman who insists on having his own biological child, then it can certainly be done with a gestational carrier and an egg donor. And it's actually routinely done.
You know, Carolyn, in the article that Leonora did, it talked about your spirituality. And you are religious, and you often prayed over these attempts to get pregnant. Especially a lot of prayer, I think, during the time when you tried 5 times with these other intended parents, with another doctor, not Dr. Babone. It was somebody else earlier. A different doctor. Yes. So, you know, people might be saying, are we playing God here? Are we interrupting the natural course of events? What's your thought about that?
I don't think we're interrupting everything. You know, obviously there are many people that cannot have children, but I also look at the aspect, if that were the case, God wouldn't put doctors and lawyers and surrogates on this earth to perform such, you know, miracles.
So to you, it's not a religious conflict. It seems like God's will as opposed to something that goes opposed to your spiritual beliefs.
Very much so.
It's in conflict with anything from a number of different religions. But if you go back and you look particularly at the Old Testament, we have examples with Abraham of surrogates and those things. So, I mean, it's been a practice that's been around long before Dr. Babone was able to open his clinic and have such great success rate.
So for the woman who said my 14-year-old daughter will be you know, maybe facing this one day, the cost, what can this run?
That's a really good question, and there's a lot of variables in that answer. To do it primarily with the clinic, with someone who is a family member who's being a carrier and not charging anything, and having just an egg donor that you're using with the clinic, you're probably looking at about $25,000, where the additional costs come in.
For the parents.
For the intended parents.
For the intended parents.
Correct. The additional cost can bring you anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 on a number of variables. One variable being the carrier, because she gets paid monthly throughout the pregnancy, the reimbursement of her living expenses. And in addition to that, you have the prenatal care, the OB and the hospital and delivery. Some insurance policies cover it, other insurance policies have exclusions, so you'd be paying the dollar-for-dollar health care. So there's a huge variable with that, but it could cost upwards of $70,000.
And I think I read in your article that the couple that she tried 4 or 5 times spent something like $250,000 eventually.
Yeah, but they hired a second surrogate and had 2 surrogates going at the same time.
Wow. So without putting Carolyn on the spot, do the surrogates get paid? And if so, what might their fee be? And is there a range?
That ranges. Generally, it's about $20,000 to $25,000. Women who have done this more than once or twice sometimes will be requesting more than that. But really what you're looking for, as Dr. Babone said, is someone who's healthy, who's had successful pregnancies, someone who's typically under the age of 40, except for Carolyn's been through this numerous times before and is good health. And so there's really not that much of a difference between using someone as a first-time or a second-time surrogate as opposed to using someone with more pregnancies in that sense. So that's usually the range that you're looking at.
You said that you found that most of them don't do it for the money, although there is some money there. What part does the money play for you, Carolyn?
May I interrupt there, Kathy?
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Babone.
Couples often ask me about this point, and in my experience, I have found that surrogates are angels, and when we have done this in the past with a family member or a friend who's not being compensated, somehow it doesn't work out as well as if it's done through a contract and compensation. There are examples of young surrogates changing their mind when they're doing this as a true volunteer. I like gestational carriers who are mature and motivated by helping somebody, but also they're being paid for their trouble and their risk. That's a good balance. And I find that those arrangements are always more successful than the ones where you have a sister or a cousin or somebody that's 100% volunteering. In my experience, those are a little bit riskier in terms of compliance.
Mm-hmm. Leonora, I want to give you the final word on what you learned when you did this.
I learned a lot about human compassion and a lot about surrogacy and how surrogates get so attached to the people who want to have the children. And I guess I was amazed at Carolyn's commitment to this couple and how much she wanted to keep doing this over and over and over again. And so it was fascinating, actually.
Well, Carolyn, I know you're in the process of, I guess, working with Dr. Babone to try to do this for another couple, and
Yes.
we wish you luck with this.
Thank you very
I
much.
hope that you are successful this time, because I know it's something you truly want.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Something. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Susan Stockham, final comment. If someone were to consider doing this, what should they consider?
They should consider the medical risk that's involved, the preparation, the shots that they take. It's not as easy to get pregnant as it is the natural way in that sense, and the commitment. There's a huge time commitment, family commitment,
Yes.
in going through this process. And as Carolyn said, it may not be successful the first time, so you might be repeating it a second time.
And we're going to put links on our website for your website, Dr. Julio Pabone's website, and here, if you want to watch the multimedia presentation and read the whole thing that Leonora did, magazine.tampabay.com on the web. It's just fascinating. Thank you so much, Carolyn, and good luck with this next attempt. Attorney Susan Stockham out of Sarasota, Leonora Lopiter Anton, reporter with St. Petersburg Times, and by remote, Dr. Julio Pabone, reproductive endocrinologist. Thank you for joining us today, and thanks to all of you for sharing your opinions. Have a great afternoon.